Go.
Hi friends, today for our math lesson we're talking about three-dimensional shapes. Three-dimensional shapes are different than two-dimensional shapes. See if you can figure out how. These that I have here are all three-dimensional shapes. And this as well. But this is a two-dimensional shape that we've learned about. See if you can crouch down, and I'm going to get my video low, to look at the shapes like you're an ant on the floor. And see what's the difference between these three-dimensional shapes and this two-dimensional shape. And then get high like a bird and look down on the shapes. So get high like a bird, video, friend, and look down on the shapes. What do you notice? All right, come on down, bird. What you probably notice, oh, that's my Dory. My Dory. Is that two-dimensional shapes are flat. But three-dimensional shapes are not. They come up into the earth. Three-dimensional shapes are tall, they're wide, and they're deep. Tall, wide, deep. Tall, wide, deep. Tall, wide, deep. There's stuff inside there. And up here, tall, wide, deep. So we know that these are all three-dimensional shapes. And next I want you to think about, what do you notice about three-dimensional shapes you find in your house? This three-dimensional shape is called a cylinder. See if you can find a cylinder in your house. This three-dimensional shape is not a circle. A circle is flat. This is a sphere. This three-dimensional shape is not a square. Squares are used to make this shape, but this is a cube, and it's not a treat for Dory. This three-dimensional shape is called a rectangular prism. It's not a rectangle. Rectangles are flat. This is a three-dimensional rectangular prism. And finally here, this is a cone. It's not a triangle. A triangle is flat. This is a three-dimensional cone. See if you can find all of these three-dimensional shapes in your house like I did in mine. Lastly, here's a challenge for you. Three-dimensional shapes have faces, vertices, and sides. I'll show you what I mean with a couple. I'll show you what I mean with a sphere and a rectangular prism. We'll start here with a rectangular prism. Rectangular prisms are made of rectangles. Those are the faces. Here's a face, 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 and here's a face. I can count how many faces, how many rectangles are put together to make a rectangular prism. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A rectangular prism has 6 faces. A rectangular prism also has vertices. Just like 2D shapes have vertices, that fancy word for corners that we've learned, a rectangular prism has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 vertices, or 8 corners. A rectangular prism also has sides to the rectangles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 12 sides on a rectangular prism. But what if I go over here to a cylinder? Or excuse me, to a sphere. Does a sphere have any flat shapes that's used to create a sphere? No, there are no flat faces. 0. Does a sphere have any vertices, any corners? No, 0 vertices. Does a sphere have any sides? No, 0 sides. So, see if you can figure out how many faces, vertices, and sides are on a cube, a cylinder. We already did sphere and rectangular prism. So lastly, a cone with a little Chupa-Lupa inside. But you can find a cone in your home. All right? So, 2 missions. The first is to find 3-dimensional shapes. The second is to see if you can count how many faces they have, vertices, and sides. Go try it, friends.